They were the picture of young love, two high school sweethearts with big dreams and unwavering loyalty. He had the charm, the ambition, and the hunger for success, while she was his quiet but steadfast supporter, always there to pick him up when the world let him down. Together, they faced life's challenges, building a modest but happy life. But as his career took off, something began to change. The humble beginnings they once shared no longer seemed enough for him. The more money he made, the more he distanced himself from the life they built together. He wanted luxury, status, and the kind of partner who matched his new lifestyle. One day, without warning, he walked away, leaving her heartbroken and stunned. She was the woman who had given him everything, yet he cast her aside as if she were holding him back. Years passed, and while he climbed the ladder of success, she quietly worked on herself. She endured the pain, transformed her life, and rebuilt her confidence. What he didn't realize was that the woman he underestimated was about to turn the tables in ways he never imagined. Now, he's the one at a crossroads, facing a reality he never saw coming. What happens when the tables turn? When the one left behind becomes the one calling the shots? Stay tuned as we unravel this incredible story of betrayal, resilience, and ultimate triumph. You won't want to miss this. As the years went by, his life seemed like the perfect success story. He had the corner office, the sports car, the sprawling mansion, and a new wife who fit the glamorous image he craved. Every photo on his social media screamed accomplishment, but beneath the surface, the cracks were beginning to show. The endless pursuit of more money, more luxury, more admiration left him feeling hollow. Yet, he didn't dare admit it. Meanwhile, her journey couldn't have been more different. The heartbreak had left her shattered, but not defeated. She poured her energy into finding her own path, something she had never done before. At first, it was about survival, taking on any job she could to make ends meet. But over time, she discovered a talent she hadn't realized she had, an instinct for business. She started small, offering freelance services from her tiny apartment. It wasn't glamorous, but she loved the work and the freedom it gave her. Slowly, her reputation grew. One client turned into 3, then 10. Within a few years, she had built a thriving business. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was thriving. Back in his world, things weren't as picture-perfect as they seemed. His new wife, while beautiful and charming, wasn't the partner he had imagined. They argued constantly, and her interest in his wealth felt transactional. The mansion he once bragged about felt cold and empty. And the more he achieved professionally, the lonelier he became. One evening, while scrolling through his phone, he stumbled upon a familiar name in an article. It was her, his ex-wife. The headline caught his eye: "Self-made entrepreneur shakes up the industry." He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The woman he had left behind, the one he thought was destined for an ordinary life, was now a rising star in the business world. Curiosity got the better of him. He read every word of the article, then searched for more. The details astonished him. Her company was making waves in an industry he thought he knew inside out. Clients raved about her leadership and vision. Investors were lining up to back her latest ventures. She was everywhere, featured in interviews, on panels, even giving a keynote speech at a conference he had attended just the year before. For the first time in years, he felt something unfamiliar: regret. He had dismissed her as someone who wouldn't fit into his vision of success. Yet here she was, redefining it entirely. But the story didn't end there. Their paths were about to cross again in a way neither of them could have anticipated. Unbeknownst to him, his company was on the verge of a major deal with hers. His board of directors, eager to partner with her growing enterprise, had been negotiating behind the scenes. It wasn't until he walked into a high-stakes meeting one morning that he realized who would be sitting across the table. There she was, poised, confident, and entirely in control. The power dynamic had shifted, and he felt it immediately. She didn't gloat or even acknowledge their history. Instead, she treated him as just another business contact, professional and distant. But her demeanor only heightened his discomfort. As the meeting progressed, he struggled to focus. Memories flooded back of the sacrifices she had made for him, of the love she had given so freely, and of the day he had walked away. He couldn't shake the feeling that he had miscalculated, not just in underestimating her potential, but in throwing away the life they had built together. While he wrestled with his emotions, she was thriving. The meeting was a success, and the deal moved forward. But for her, it wasn't about revenge or proving a point. She had moved on from the pain he caused, focusing instead on building a life that brought her fulfillment. Yet, seeing him again stirred something she hadn't expected, a mix of satisfaction and sadness. As their professional interactions continued, tensions rose. His attempts to reconnect on a personal level were met with polite indifference. She wasn't interested in revisiting the past. But for him, the past had become impossible to escape. The cracks in his life began to widen. His failing marriage, the pressures of maintaining his image, and the haunting realization that he had lost someone extraordinary all collided. He started questioning everything: his decisions, his values, and what success truly meant. But she had no time for his inner turmoil. She was on a mission, one that didn't include looking back. Her business was expanding into new markets, and she was preparing for the biggest launch of her career. The media buzzed with excitement, dubbing her a force to be reckoned with. As the launch date approached, he found himself increasingly drawn to her world. Not just out of professional obligation, but out of a desperate need to understand how she had transformed into the powerhouse she had become. He attended her events, watched her interviews, and even tried to engage her in conversation. But she remained steadfast. The roles were reversed now. He was the one chasing, and she was the one walking away. And yet, the story was far from over. The stage was set for a dramatic turning point, one that would test both of them in ways they couldn't yet foresee. What happens when the ghosts of the past refuse to stay buried? When ambition collides with regret? And when the person you once underestimated becomes the one holding all the cards? The answers are coming, but for now, the tension lingers. Stay tuned. This story is just getting started. The tension between them lingered like an unfinished symphony, notes hanging in the air, unresolved. He couldn't shake the sense of longing and regret, a gnawing feeling that he had lost more than he'd gained over the years. She, on the other hand, was steadfast, her focus locked on the future she had built with her own hands. Yet, their lives continued to intersect in small, unexpected ways as the deal between their companies progressed. One late evening, during a follow-up meeting, he found himself alone with her in the conference room. The bustling sounds of their teams faded away, leaving only the hum of the city outside. For a moment, he hesitated, unsure if he should say what had been weighing on him since the day they reconnected. But the words escaped before he could stop them. "I made a mistake," he said quietly. "Not just in underestimating you, but in walking away." She looked at him, her expression unreadable. She could feel the sincerity in his voice, but it didn't change the past or the decisions that had brought them to this moment. "I don't need your apology," she replied evenly. "I needed it back then, but I've moved on. What I have now, who I am now, isn't because of you. It's in spite of you." Her words struck him like a bolt of lightning, leaving no room for denial or excuses. He realized then that she didn't owe him anything. Not her forgiveness, not her time, and certainly not her understanding. She had rebuilt herself, not as a reaction to his betrayal, but as a testament to her own strength. The months that followed were a whirlwind for both of them. Her business launched its new initiative with unprecedented success, drawing even more attention to her meteoric rise. She was featured on magazine covers, invited to speak at global forums, and became a role model for countless people, inspired by her resilience. For him, watching her shine was bittersweet. He admired her more than ever, but he also knew that he was a bystander in a story he could no longer claim as his own. But his own life was far from settled. His marriage crumbled under the weight of its own superficiality, leaving him to face the emptiness he had avoided for so long. For the first time in years, he began to ask himself hard questions. What did he really want? What kind of legacy was he leaving behind? And was it too late to rewrite his story? In a surprising twist, their paths crossed once again, this time at a charity gala she was hosting. The event was a celebration of success, but also a reminder of responsibility, something she held close to her heart. As he stood among the glittering crowd, watching her command the room with grace and purpose, he realized that she had become everything he had once dreamed of being, not just successful, but impactful. Toward the end of the evening, he approached her, not with expectations, but with humility. "I know I can't change the past," he said, his voice steady but soft. "But I want to thank you. Not just for what you've built, but for showing me what real success looks like." She studied him for a moment, seeing the faint glimmer of the man she had once loved. It wasn't pity she felt, nor anger. It was something closer to acceptance, a quiet acknowledgement that their story had served its purpose. "I hope you find what you're looking for," she said simply. And with that, she walked away, leaving him with the bittersweet realization that this was the closure they both needed. In the months that followed, he began rebuilding his life, this time with intention. He stepped back from the relentless pursuit of wealth and focused on projects that brought him meaning. It was a slower, quieter kind of success, but one that felt more authentic. And though he would never fully stop wondering what might have been, he found peace in knowing that he had learned from his mistakes. As for her, she continued to rise. But her success wasn't just about the accolades or the financial rewards. It was about the people she inspired, the lives she touched, and the legacy she was creating. She had become a symbol of resilience and reinvention, proof that the pain of the past didn't have to define the future. And so, their story came full circle, not with a reunion, but with a resolution. It was a testament to the idea that sometimes the greatest triumph isn't reclaiming what was lost, but discovering what's possible when you let go. For those watching, the story was more than just a tale of heartbreak and redemption. It was a reminder that success isn't about who walks with you at the start, but about the strength you find within yourself to keep moving forward. And in the end, it's not about proving anyone wrong, it's about proving yourself right. The lesson lingered long after the final chapter. Life is full of unexpected turns, but it's in those twists and turns that we find who we truly are. And that, more than anything, is the story worth telling.